Most men think women test them to be difficult. That belief alone causes more attraction to die than rejection ever could. Because the truth is this: a woman doesn't test a man she doesn't care about. Testing is not sabotage, it's verification. From a psychological standpoint, women are wired to look for emotional safety, consistency, and strength under pressure. Words don't prove that, behavior does. So instead of asking directly, the subconscious does something smarter. It applies pressure and watches. Here's the part most men miss. A test is not about the question, it's about your reaction. When she says things like, "Why are you so quiet today? Do you even miss me? I don't think you really care." She's not seeking reassurance, she's measuring emotional stability. Your response tells her everything. Panic equals insecurity. Defensiveness equals fragile ego. Over-explaining equals approval seeking. And calm presence? That signals safety. Now let's go deeper, because there are levels to these tests. The first level is the boundary test. This happens early. She might show up late, cancel last minute, give mixed signals. Not because she's disrespectful, but because her brain is asking, will he abandon himself to keep me? Men who instantly accommodate fail this test without realizing it. Why? Because attraction requires polarity, and polarity collapses when you erase your own boundaries. A man who calmly adjusts without resentment passes. A man who overgives fails. A man who gets angry fails faster. And here's the brutal part most channels won't tell you. Women don't consciously plan these tests. They emerge naturally when attraction meets uncertainty, which means if you understand them, you stop taking them personally. Now, the second level is where most men emotionally lose control. This is the emotional regulation test. She creates mild emotional friction, a small disagreement, a confusing comment, a sudden mood shift, and she watches one thing only: can he stay grounded when I'm not? If your mood collapses when hers changes, her nervous system registers instability, not weakness, unpredictability. That's why trying to fix her emotions backfires. She doesn't want to be fixed. She wants to feel that you are solid even when the environment isn't. Men who pass this test don't argue harder. They don't withdraw emotionally. They stay present without chasing control, and that's rare. If this perspective is clicking for you right now, that's not an accident. This kind of awareness compounds over time. It's the difference between reacting and reading the room. That's why the men who understand this never feel confused in dating. They see patterns. We're not even at the most important test yet, because the final test isn't about boundaries or emotions. It's about identity, and that's where attraction either locks in or quietly disappears. The third test is the identity test, and this is where most men fail without ever realizing a test even happened. This is when she challenges who you are, not what you do. She might say things like, "You've changed lately. You're not like you used to be. I don't think this is really you." On the surface, it sounds emotional. Psychologically, it's much deeper. Her mind is asking one dangerous question: is this man anchored in himself, or is he becoming a version of who he thinks I want? If your sense of self collapses under her opinion, attraction collapses with it. Men who rush to explain themselves fail. Men who argue aggressively fail. Men who reshape their identity to please her fail instantly. But the man who stays centered, who doesn't defend, doesn't justify, doesn't seek validation, triggers something powerful. Because certainty is contagious. A calm response like, "I'm comfortable with where I'm at." That's it. No speech, no explanation, no performance. Her nervous system relaxes because she's standing next to someone stable. Now here's the part no one prepares you for. When a woman senses stability, the tests don't stop, they evolve. Which brings us to the most misunderstood test of all, the withdrawal test. She pulls back slightly. Less texts, less emotional warmth, more space. Most men panic here. They chase, they ask what's wrong, they try to fix a problem that doesn't exist. But psychologically, this test is simple. Will he chase or will he remain whole without me? This test is brutal because it targets fear of loss. If you collapse when she pulls away, she feels responsible for your emotional state, and responsibility kills desire. The man who passes does something counterintuitive. He doesn't pull her back. He lets the space exist, calmly, not as a tactic, not as punishment, but as confidence. And when she feels that you didn't lose yourself during distance, her attraction recalibrates. Now understand this clearly. Passing tests does not mean being cold. It means being emotionally self-contained. That's the distinction weak advice never explains. And here's the quiet truth. The more emotionally regulated you are, the fewer tests you face, because her nervous system already feels safe. Attraction isn't built by impressing, it's built by non-reactivity under pressure. This is why confident men don't memorize lines, they regulate their internal state. And once you master that, tests stop feeling like threats and start feeling like confirmations. We're about to connect all of this into one principle that changes how you move in every interaction. Here's the core principle that ties every test together, and once you see it, women's behavior stops feeling confusing. Women test for emotional leadership, not dominance, not control, not manipulation. Emotional leadership. Her subconscious is constantly scanning for one thing. If emotions rise, does this man stay grounded or does he collapse? That's it. Every test, the boundary test, the confidence test, the identity test, the withdrawal test, all measure the same signal, your internal stability. Now, let's go deeper because this next layer is where high retention understanding lives. Most men think women test on purpose. They don't. Tests are automatic nervous system responses. When attraction increases, uncertainty increases too. Her brain asks, is this real or am I projecting? So she applies pressure. Pressure reveals structure. Think about it like this. You don't test a bridge by admiring it, you test it by putting weight on it. If it holds, trust increases. If it shakes, fear takes over. That's exactly what's happening here. Now, here's a mistake almost every man makes after learning about tests. They start trying to pass, and that's the fastest way to fail. Why? Because trying to pass means you're reacting for approval. The moment she feels you're adjusting your behavior to score points, the polarity collapses. Instead, the men who pass naturally do one thing differently. They respond from identity, not strategy. Let me give you a clean example. She says, I don't think you're taking this seriously. Most men hear accusation. They rush to prove commitment. High value response? Calm, grounded, short. I'm clear about how I move. That response does 3 psychological things. It doesn't deny her feeling. It doesn't accept blame. It reinforces self-definition. Her brain reads that as, this man isn't shaken. And here's the part people don't talk about. When a woman realizes she can't destabilize you, she relaxes. And relaxed women don't test, they connect. Now, let's talk about the danger zone, because this is where attraction quietly dies. Over-explaining. Every extra sentence after your point is already made, it signals doubt. Men explain because they want to be understood. Women interpret explanation as insecurity under pressure. That's why shorter responses feel stronger, not because they're cold, but because they're complete. Now, pay attention to this next insight. It's subtle but powerful. Tests increase right before emotional attachment deepens. If you notice tests escalating, it usually means attraction is rising, not falling. Men misread this and sabotage themselves. They think, she's losing interest. Psychologically, it's often the opposite. She's checking safety before investing. This is why disappearing, blocking, or punishing her backfires. It tells her this man can't regulate emotion. So what do grounded men do instead? they stay consistent. Same tone, same energy, same self-respect. Not rigid, not distant, consistent. Consistency is emotional safety, and emotional safety is what allows attraction to grow without fear. We're about to break down exactly what not to do during tests, the 3 reactions that instantly disqualify men, even if attraction was high. There are 3 reactions that instantly fail a woman's test, even if attraction was strong before, and most men rotate between these without realizing it. Reaction 1: emotional collapse. This is when a man gets defensive, anxious, or reactive. He raises his voice, he argues feelings, he tries to win the moment. Psychologically, this tells her nervous system, if pressure rises, this man loses control. Attraction doesn't survive emotional instability. Reaction 2: over-compliance. This one looks polite, but it's just as damaging. Agreeing too fast, apologizing for things you didn't do, changing your position to keep the peace. Her subconscious reads this as, this man abandons himself under pressure. That kills respect, quietly but permanently. Reaction 3: withdrawal as punishment. Silence meant to hurt, blocking to regain power, pulling away with resentment. This doesn't signal strength, it signals emotional regulation failure. Strength isn't disappearing, strength is remaining steady. Now, here's what actually passes tests effortlessly. Not techniques, not clever lines, not dominance. Emotional neutrality with self-respect. You acknowledge reality without absorbing it. Example: she says, "You're acting different lately." Weak response: "What? No, I'm not. Why would you say that?" Over-compliant response: "I'm sorry, I'll be better." Grounded response: "I've been focused, it's been good for me." Calm, no explanation, no tension. Her brain registers, this man doesn't need to be approved. And here's the truth most channels never tell you. Women stop testing men they feel safe with emotionally. Testing isn't manipulation, it's information gathering. Once the information is clear, tests disappear. That's why men who stay centered feel like they're in easy relationships. It's not luck, it's regulation. Now let's talk about the final shift, the one that changes everything. Stop asking, how do I pass her tests? Start asking, am I living in a way that doesn't require passing? When your life is aligned, your boundaries clear, your self-respect non-negotiable, tests lose power over you. And paradoxically, that's when attraction deepens the most, because she's no longer evaluating you, she's responding to you. If this perspective helped you see female psychology more clearly, you already know this channel isn't about tricks, it's about understanding. Stay here if you want more clarity like this. Not hype, not manipulation, just grounded insight. And remember this: a woman tests a man she's unsure about. She trusts a man who remains himself under pressure. That's the difference.